Introduction. During the last 2500 years or so, the human race has undergone significant changes. Here, I am not speaking of historical events pertaining to socio-economic changes, but instead of the different realities that human race has been subjected to. Every reader must be aware that some of the religions that exist today were not practiced before the advent of the Christian era. Similarly, many new religions have come into existence since the Christian era began. Hence, the religious outlook of the human race in some parts of the world has undergone major changes. Furthermore, ideas about the earth being at the center of the universe were in vogue during the times of Aristotle and Plato. Later, these ideas changed during the time of Copernicus and Galileo. A new realization had set in, and people finally became aware that the earth was not at the center of the universe, and that all the planets revolved around the sun. Furthermore, during the time of Newton, the universe was conceived of as a mechanical model. From the mechanical model of Newtonian era, the reality about the universe has become mathematical in nature. Based on the theories of Einstein and also the theory of quantum mechanics. Therefore, the ideas about our universe or the reality in which humans exist have never been constant. Hence, this book briefly addresses some of the issues pertaining to humanity's religious beliefs, philosophical attitudes, scientific breakthroughs, and finally the quest for peace. As a result, in the 21st century, you must be familiar with the various religions that has come into the existence during the last 2500 years or so. Most of the religions which exist in the world today have originated during this period. Perhaps the only exception in this regard is Hinduism. Its origin cannot be dated due to the lack of recorded historical evidence. It is not even possible to guess when the practice of Hinduism began. The same can be said of the various philosophical systems that have been developed both in the West and the East. Again, it is hard to ascertain when certain Indian systems of philosophy originated due to the lack of recorded historical evidence. The human race has been around for much longer than 2500 years, though we do not know how much about the millennia preceding this period. We can assume that various civilizations must have existed in various regions of the earth throughout time. Perhaps these civilizations followed some unknown religious systems or were based on some unknown philosophical beliefs. Since recorded history goes back only 25 years or so, I will focus solely on this period for the purpose of general illustration. Besides the various religious systems and philosophies, modern scientific inquiry too owes its origin to this period. The various concepts of Aristotle, Copernicus, Galileo, Newton, and Einstein were all developed during this time. Lastly, let us talk about peace, which is a fundamental necessity. I do not have to elaborate much on this, taking into consideration the amount of human blood that has been shed during the last 2500 years. What good is a religion or a philosophy or a science or any other idea, however grand, is to a true human being, when it does not bring lasting peace and happiness? Therefore, it stands to logic that every religion, philosophy or science as such has been developed by the human race in the quest for peace. Which is the true nature of human being? or the spirit. The distinction between religion, philosophy, and science is as superficial as the conception of religion by the human race. Religious systems, civilization, philosophies, and scientific ideas come and go. Nothing lasts forever. It is a lasting peace to which a human being has fundamental right, and this book focuses solely on this aspect. Somehow, by hook or crook, everyone should aim to slip into lasting state of peace and march towards immortality, which is home for all humans. This is what is called yoga. How it is accomplished is what this entire book is about. Let us now focus on the main theme of the book. The entire cosmos is pervaded by energy. Even modern science accepts this pervading presence. However, the definition of energy has been comprehended by human beings within the narrow limits of our intellect and limited earthly vocabulary. The existence of humans is isolation from the perspective of earthly logic. However, the ego of humans does not allow anyone to reconcile with this fact. I have elaborated on this adequately in one of the chapters. The human intellect itself is a part of this energy, which is present everywhere. Science has missed out on this crucial aspect, leaving it to philosophy and religion to ponder over. Science does not even consider the subject of philosophy under its scope. However, its quest for a grand unified theory is in sharp contrast to its approach. How can a subject find an unified theory of the objective world in a standalone mode when the very self of the subject is also an integral part of the world? Here are the fundamental errors that has occurred. Science has drifted onto a different path and into the unknown depth of space and time. It is enthralled itself with the theories of black holes and the point of singularity. The conclusion by science about the origin of the universe and the ultimate fate is generally the same as what has been stated in the ancient yoga texts. Let me try and put it in a nutshell. The primordial energy which has originated from the unknown entity called God or the supreme divinity manifests as the cosmos. One can speak of the origination of the Big Bang or the beginning of creation, or use any other terminology one wants. I'm not a scholar who has mastered the art of logic with earthly vocabulary. Similarly, I'm not a scientist who possesses the knowledge of mathematical precision and who can explain the point of singularity. Living in this age of black holes and relativity, everyone must be aware of the fact that even the very pillars of modern theoretical physics are not consistent. As per my little knowledge of modern science, the theory of relativity and quantum mechanics contradict each other. Hence, no such efforts have been made in this book to demolish the beautiful philosophical and rational edifices of the universe. Therefore, I beg pardon from the philosophers and proponents of theoretical physics if my humble book appears to be contradictory in any way. However, all that I wish to convey to readers is the fact that the cosmic energy of the cosmos includes human beings and the intellect. A human being doesn't exist separate from the cosmic energy. Therefore, how can the human intellect, which is a product of a primordial energy in its grosser form of manifestation, comprehend the finer form of this energy? As I subsequently elaborate in this book, this energy in its primordial form is all conscious and powerful, just like the supreme divinity. The energy is the almighty or the very self of a person. I have elaborated on that adequately in this book. However, the human intellect is immediate and next grosser form of the primordial energy, but is tingled with the color of egoism or the I-ness principle. The I idea of a separate existence away from the rest of humanity and the Almighty or the divinity, springs from the ego. The spirit dwelling within the human body gets trapped and tricked into the believing that by the supreme cosmic power which is responsible for creating this cosmic illusion. I have elaborated on this in one of the chapters in a detailed manner. However, the human intellect can be classified as the first creation or the first thing created in the illusionary world. Therefore, up to a certain degree, it can comprehend everything about the cosmos. Hence, adequate respect has been accorded to this grosser form of the primordial energy in the yoga texts. In fact, it is the creative form of a primordial energy. However, it is good, God, or the Almighty. Thereafter, this energy assumes the next grosser form and manifests as mind and the five senses. Here, the application of free will is also exercised. From the mind, the energy further assumes various subtle forms of variation life forces. Finally, it is these life forces that manifest as a gross human body comprising of flesh, blood, and bones. I have very briefly elaborated on the structured manifestation of the energy into human form in one of the chapters. After creation is completed at the individual level, the balance of energy in a human body is concentrated and located halfway between the anus and the genetical region. The energy therefore continues to project and sustain a sort of illusionary world onto a person's psyche through the cerebrospinal system. A similar parallel creation is executed at a collective level of humanity. I have elaborated on this in one of these chapters. The energy in an individual is in fact a miniature model of the cosmos. There is no need to focus outwards into deep space in order to understand the origin of the universe. All the focus that exist in the universe also exist within the self of a person. However, for this process of self-realization to occur, the mind itself needs to become the observer, the object of observation, and also the laboratory. Furthermore, since the task of understanding the final form of the primordial energy is technically not possible for the human intellect, the very primordial form itself needs to reveal its true nature to the person during the advanced stages of yoga practice. The human intellect is nothing but a form of the energy. It is in fact the next grosser stage of the primordial energy as it starts manifesting into the human form and also simultaneously creates a world of illusion. Hence, the intellect cannot comprehend the true nature of the primordial energy to its own effect. When the mind is in tranquil state, devoid of any modifications, the intellect also surrenders completely without exercising any of its natural function of discrimination. The divinity or the supreme energy in its primordial form reveals its true nature to itself, which has so far been in the stage of ignorance, and which is also enshrined within the self of a person. It is akin to the gem that reveals its splendor after the dirt has been removed. This process of achieving self-realization is called yoga. For this kind of divine process to begin, a vulnerable teacher or a guru who himself or herself is a self-illuminated needs to help the individual by tampering with the primordial force within them. In doing so, they put in reverse mode, causing the involution or destruction of the psyche, which results in self-realization. The primordial energy in its destructive mode completely erases the ego in a person along with all their emotions. It also reveals its true nature. I have elaborated on the structured manifestation of the energy into human form in one of the chapters. chapters very briefly, since it is not possible to get into the intricacies of its highly complex subject within the scope of this book. As the first ray of absolute knowledge starts dawning in a person, the distinction between religion, philosophy, and science starts to get blurred. The laws of psychics, physics, breakdown, or are no longer applicable, just as they do in a black hole at the point of singularity. That means all the laws that govern the gross physical universe, due to which the infinite spirit enshrined within the self thinks it is only a human being, start losing their power to bind the spirit. The same phenomenon generally takes place in a black hole. As per my little knowledge of modern science, various laws of science which governs the universe no longer apply when a star or a galaxy collapses to the point of singularity in a black hole. Hence, this comparison has been made due to the common factor of the breaking down of the laws of science. Thereafter, even the laws of yoga have to break down for absolute knowledge to emerge. This is very high spiritual state wherein the supernatural powers stop manifesting for the yogi. Trust me, as I pour my heart out on this paper, the human race can theoretically never understand the point where the laws of yoga break down. It is when this breakdown occurs that self-realization happens. And self-realization occurs only at the will of the Supreme Divinity. As per ancient Sanskrit texts, there have been numerous occasions when the yogi has fallen, even from such high spiritual state, due to the misuse of supernatural powers. As this mind settles down in a tranquil state devoid of any modifications, the person experiences the mind collapsing inwardly into infinity, just as might happen in a black hole to a star system or a galaxy as it collapses to a point of singularity as mentioned above. However, there is one common factor in both these cases. The laws of science governing the physical universe no longer apply. It is due to this reason that a yogi is not bound by a laws of science. While the process of involution of cosmic energy occurs when the cerebrospinal system of a person, numerous reactions are experienced by the person. These reactions are both physical and mental, and also pertain to external daily life. Hence, it is not a mere theory that is being discussed in this book. Rather, the theory is discussed simultaneously along with direct personal experience. The title of the book has been chosen for exactly what it means. As illustrated in numerous Sanskrit texts, even the celestial or gods will have to take birth as human beings for their final salvation. The kind of literature presented in this book is generally rare to come across. Personal experiences during the awakening of Kundalini or the cosmic energy are not supported to be revealed to the general public as per the yoga traditions, since it is injurious to the practitioner from a spiritual point of view. However, the tradition has been violated purely from an altruistic point of view, so that practitioners do not get confused during the course of practicing yoga when unexplainable and irritational reactions develop in their bodies, minds, and daily lives. Furthermore, it is also my intention to inform the readers that unexplainable and irrational experiences in the context of modern science do indeed occur in reality, are not limited to one scriptures, speculation, and academic debates. This book has been written primarily for the benefit of practitioners of Siddha Maha Yoga, a yoga system practiced by the secret order of Shaktipat. However, it will also be of great assistance to others practicing any other type of yoga system, since the awakening of the Kundalini energy is common in all yoga systems. Therefore, this book can be read by anyone who is practicing any kind of yoga system. It may act as some sort of practical reference guide. It may provide answers to a wide variety of questions pertaining to yoga in general. Similarly, the book can also be read by any general reader, since the subject dealt with is a very essence of life. The right inspiration can drastically alter the course of life in a positive way. A general reader may not fully comprehend the subject, however, it might perhaps evoke a bit of interest and inspire the reader to head in the right direction. I have included a few chapters on the book briefly for the benefit of a general reader before narrating my own experiences. Even if one reader is adequately inspired in the right direction, I will consider that my effort in writing this book has not been in vain. With humble obeisance to my Guru, His Holiness Swami Sahajananda Tirtha, I wish upon the reader inspiration towards the right direction in pursuit of the divine.